Yo, how's it going, guys? Good to see ya. It's your boy Brent, aka Backpack B. Today, on Quick Cuts, we're talking about a new TwoSun that I just picked up. This is the TS204 Bronc, a design collaboration between Tepe Designs and Szymanski. I'm always interested in knives that are designed by Tepe Designs because I'm a huge fan of his work. I think this is my 4th or 5th knife in my collection that was designed by him. I'm also not as familiar with Szymanski, but I love learning about the designers behind the knives that I acquire, so this is a chance to expand my knife designer knowledge. The TS204 is an exciting offering from TwoSun. This piece specifically stood out to me because of the design and the materials used throughout the piece. An S90V blade, a mix of carbon fiber, G10, and titanium throughout the handle. There really is a lot to talk about, so let's dive into episode 3 of Quick Cuts. Roll that intro, baby, let's go! So I ended up paying like $100 for this, which is amazing, specifically because it uses a lot of high-end materials. Let's check out the specs and see what we're working with. Alrighty, so like I said, the Bronc posts an impressive spec sheet. It weighs in at 3.49 ounces, which is because of the extensive milling they did on the titanium liners. Without that, the knife would have been so much heavier, I think. It has a handle length of 4.25 inches, a handle width of 1.1 inches, and a handle thickness of 0.65 inches, which is way thicker than I thought it would be. More on that later. It has a blade length of 2.72 inches, a blade width of 1.0 inches, and blade thickness of 0.125 inches, giving the Bronc an overall length of 7.28 inches. Moving on to the specs, it features a liner lock, an S90V blade steel, a mix of G10 carbon fiber and titanium handles, a titanium pocket clip, KVT ceramic ball bearing pivot system, a titanium backspacer, flipper tab deployment, and a super slicey flat ground Wharncliffe blade. The way that these materials are integrated into the design really makes it visually stand out from the rest of the TwoSun lineup in my opinion. Let's jump into the knife overview. Check it out, here's the Bronc in all its glory. It's a very striking design from Szymanski and Tepe Designs. I love the black, red, and white color scheme, it really stands out. So here's the show side of the handle, where you can see the black carbon fiber bolster and the white G10 handle scales. TwoSun did a great job seamlessly integrating the materials into a handle that feels cohesive and continuous. My hands don't even really notice a transition between the carbon fiber and the G10. Moving on to the spine of the handle, here you can see the titanium liners and the titanium backspacer. The backspacer leaves little to no open area between the sides of the knife. Just enough for the flipper tab to do its thing. And really now you can see the handle of this knife is pretty thick, which was admittedly unexpected. I didn't realize how thick this handle was until I got it in hand. Next, let's check out the lock side of the handle. And just check out that pocket clip. It's one of the standout features of this piece. This to me stands out as a Tepe Designs clip. I could be wrong, and maybe Szymanski had a lot to do with the clip, but this is very in line with other pocket clips I've seen from Tepe Designs. The clip is really rounded down, it's chamfered, leaving little to no sharp edges, which matches the aesthetic of the handle. The rest of the handle on this side echoes the show side handle, giving us a very symmetrical design that feels strong, bold, and confident. Let's check the centering out. And that's right down the middle. I don't think I've ever gotten an uncentered TwoSun. Here you can see the titanium liner lock, which is interesting to me because they worked in a steel lock bar insert into this liner lock, which is necessary because you don't want the titanium rubbing on the steel of the tang. I'm used to seeing this done on frame locks, but for me, this is the first steel lock bar insert I've seen on a liner lock. Alright, on to my favorite part. Let's check out this bad boy's action. And that is terrific. The blade flies to the open position and locks firm. The detent felt really good and dialed in. The design of this flipper tab is nice. It has some subtle jimping to help with grip and deployment. The lockup is good. It comes in at about 30% of the tang, so no issues there. And there is absolutely zero blade play. And here you have the knife in its full open glory. You can see the small TwoSun billboarding on the flat at the show side of the blade. And on the other side, you can see the Tepe Designs logo up on the flat. And next to the plunge line, you can see the production number. I got number 28, which is dope, and you can see the steel, S90V. And finally, you can see Szymanski's maker's mark. So there's a lot of billboarding on this side of the blade, but I don't mind that. Let's move on to standout features. The first standout is the design. As I said before, I was immediately drawn to the look of this piece. The rounded handle contrasts so well with the straight edge of the Wharncliffe blade. I feel like this design puts the edge of the blade on a pedestal. The carbon fiber, the G10, and the titanium of the handle work so well together. I love the design of the titanium pocket clip. I could go on forever about the design. It's a very standout piece in the TwoSun lineup in my opinion. But there's a definite reason for that, and props have to go to both designers. Their experience really shines through on this piece. Tepe Designs, who has designed many other pieces with TwoSuns, such as the TS128 Dynamo, the TS134 Shockwave, Wave and the TS179 Perfecto, and many more. And I did some research and found out about Matt Szymanski, and he's done a bunch of work with TwoSun also, such as the TS168 and the TS237 Cascada. Cascada? Is that how you say it? Anyway, two designers that have experience working with TwoSun, and it shows. The execution of this piece is next level, which is a sign of a successful collaboration all around, and I love to see it. The next notable feature is the super slicey, cardboard murdering Wharncliffe blade. It came super sharp out of the box, it's very thin behind the edge, and the high flat grind just makes it a super fun slicer. The tip of the blade is strong, it has a very pronounced point, and it cuts and performs a lot like a razor blade. And I've actually found myself using it like a razor blade a lot, interestingly enough. The surprise standout feature of this knife is its thick handle. I usually like a thin handle on my knives for EDC reasons. My normal EDC thickness preference is something like the Hogue Knives Deca. Its handle comes in at about 0.38 inches thick. That being said, the Bronc comes in at a thickness of 0.65 inches. I was actually surprised at how much I like the thickness of the handle. The way it fills my hand makes it feel like I get a lot of control and leverage on the blade. The thickness mixed with the nicely rounded edges of the handle make this knife a standout in terms of ergonomics. The next standout feature of this knife is the use of quality materials. The S90V blade is amazing, especially when we talk about the price point. And as I said before, the titanium liners mixed with the seamlessly integrated carbon fiber in G10 is a home run. I would go as far as to say that this is one of my favorite handles of the year. The titanium backspacer and pocket clip are very nice as well. The all-around attention to detail in regards to material integration really shines through, and that's why I am just in love with the handle. The last standout feature is the price, and I was able to pick this up on eBay for $100 flat, which I think is an amazing price, especially when you factor in what you're getting. A design collaboration from two great designers featuring S90V steel and a carbon fiber G10 titanium handle, all in a package for $100. Sign me up. So obviously I could continue to sing the praise of this knife, but let's look into a few tiny gripes that I had. Let me start by saying that I'm definitely a detail psychopath, so these are tiny nitpicks, nothing major, let's do it. So my first gripe is a tiny fit and finish issue in an otherwise flawless knife. My issue is the line where the G10 and the carbon fiber transition on the handle scale seems to be a tad uneven when looking at both sides together. This is super subtle, but it catches my eye from time to time and it bothers me. A small finishing detail that could have been done a little bit better. My second nitpick is another finishing issue, and this one has to do with the screws that hold the scales onto the titanium liners. I don't mind them being there, and I like the way they look actually, but I do mind that they don't sit flush with the scales. They sit ever so slightly above the scales, so you can constantly feel these tiny bumps on the handle. In my opinion, if these sat flush, these handles would be perfect. And those are the only issues I came up with. Not bad at all, and they're definitely nitpicks. Time to move on to my conclusions, and I think it's pretty obvious that I love this knife. I think it's a home run, a great piece from TwoSun. It gets the Back B quick cuts stamp of approval, and I highly recommend that you pick one up for yourself. Alright guys, so I don't really know if you noticed, but I've reformatted quick cuts. This is the new format for quick cuts moving forward. It's going to be a more short form, easy to make type of video series where I can talk about knives rather than always doing behind the edge, because behind the edge takes me forever to make. But behind the edge is always going to be there. It's going to be a long form, more detailed view of a knife, whereas quick cuts is the type of video I can turn around in like a week. That being said, I'm trying to put out videos like weekly or bi-weekly, and this is the way I'm going to do it, with more episodes of quick cuts. If you're new here and you like what you saw, consider slashing that subscribe button. We can hang out every week. This is Back B, and I am out. Deuces.